very, very disciplined attitude and a work ethic to school really makes you, better, not just as a student, but as a person. I can't tell you how much I thanked my parents for, buying me one of those fancy planners in high school, because I continue to use that today. I used it in high school, I then used it in college, I use it in grad school, and I use it in law school, and I use it now at work. And I can't tell you how much better you do and you feel when you are organized, when you're prepared for the day, when you know what's coming in the week or the month ahead. And a lot of times students, I don't think that they quite understand how important organization and time management is. So not just for getting good grades, but really to balance school, personal life, as well as extracurricular activities. So you can do 4 different activities in one day, but if you haven't planned out the day, then you're really not doing yourself a favor by just sort of going through the motions. So earn high grades, be organized, and these are all tips that we give to our students as well. We don't just advise them on their academic and EA profile, but we help them become a very well-rounded person and give them skills that they can use way past high school. Finally, maintain a positive trend, pace yourself. So I'll show you a little example of what I mean by maintain a positive trend just right now, actually. So I have, this is actually one of my current students. I've changed her name, of course, Sasha Fierce. I don't know if any of you like Beyonce, but this is her alter ego when she's on stage. So this student, Sasha, let's call her, she's really interested in attending the top tier schools. She's not even looking at tier 2, tier 3 schools. And she, I found out that she has a real passion for the sciences. And she wants to be a biomechanical engineer. And she's done, a few EAs, but not really too much in the sciences. She's involved in the color guard, and but she ended up balancing her time very well in freshman year. She got perfect 4.0 in all of her classes. And when I had this student, I advised her, okay, so you're choosing classes for next year. Why don't you challenge yourself a little bit? Take a few honors classes if you can. So, she took a few. She took AP European History and continued with her dance and marching band. And she ended up doing really well. And I was like, hey, Sasha, you're getting into your junior year now, and colleges really scrutinize this year of high school. So why don't you take a few more AP classes, see how you do? And she did, and she ended up getting a few Bs. Oftentimes this is what ends up happening to students who do push themselves, but they don't maintain a consistent trend, and they don't have good time management skills, or they don't focus. And for a private school, who they especially look at trend in grades. And for her, she wasn't very careful in maintaining her stellar 4.0 grades. But we can see that she still challenged herself. All of the private schools, as well as UC Berkeley, UCLA, they have what's called a holistic look at admissions. They don't just base a decision on points for good grades, points for EAs, points for leadership. They look at the application as a whole. So we're getting her on the right path right now, and it's definitely not too late for her to bounce back. And so this is an example of cases that we see quite frequently. Students who don't understand how much time and effort it takes to do well in an AP class as opposed to an honors class. So I show this slide to you just, to caution you and to caution students to be very careful when they choose their classes. Make sure they can handle it. A lot of times, classes like AP US History, it takes a lot of time to get an A in AP US History as opposed to maybe AP Calculus. There's a lot of reading, a lot of writing every night. So, when I have students who aren't as strong in writing and reading comprehension, sometimes if it's a matter of getting a B in an AP US History class or an A in a regular US History class, but then they can, have room to take AP Calc, AP Computer Science, AP Physics, then, I would opt for them to take regular US History over AP, if that means they can get an A in their other classes. So any questions so far? I definitely encourage questions. Okay. So tips for choosing next year's courses. This obviously isn't everything. I've just put a few bullet points here, but for students who are STEM students or, science, technology, engineering, math, really they should try to take physics in their junior year if it's possible. Because the schools want to see how well these students can do in very intensive math and science classes. Of course, you want to take AP Calc BC over AB whenever possible. Junior year is definitely the most important grade for making sure that you're taking the heaviest course load and doing the best possible. And then finally, always take A to G classes over non-A to G. This isn't to say, you shouldn't take that extra, art class or graphic design class if that's what you really want to do. But, if you're choosing between non-A to G and A to G, you want to take A to G because it's going to factor into your UC GPA. If it's a non-A to G class for the UCs, they don't care about that grade. They won't even take into account that A that you got because they're very, very rigid in how they formulate their GPA for admissions purposes. Talk to people who have taken the class. I think that this is a really underrated kind of tip. A lot of students, they may have friends who have already graduated. They want to know, is this teacher particularly hard, or do they sort of inflate their grades? It's important to talk to people who are older than you, who have gone through this process. And same, talk to a professional for guidance and advice. A lot of times, guidance counselors at high schools, they're so overwhelmed, they can't really give very individualized or customized advice. So, talk to a mentor, sometimes people talk to their parents, but they may not have the background or they may not have the knowledge to properly advise students on this kind of thing. All right, so how to choose extracurricular activities. EA, it can be anything. It can be, taking a private art class. It can be founding your own nonprofit organization. It can be, being a stellar hurdler in track and field. So it's really anything that you do outside of class that is going to help your personal development as well as your academic development. It also includes things you do in the summer. So, I put here basketball versus struggling grades. A lot of times our clients, they come in, their students are, pretty good. They have about 3.4 GPA, and they want to keep pushing summer programs. They want to encourage them to pack their summer with as many activities as possible. And, we tell them, hey, step back, take a look at the big picture. Is it more important to, be the varsity captain of basketball while having a 3.0 or 3.1 or 3.2 GPA? It depends. If you are obviously looking to be the next Jeremy Lin or something, then fine, go for basketball. It's it's going to make you a lot more money. But you know, if you want to go to a tier 1 school, oftentimes the academic profile is just going to get you into the door, into the door. So, you know, whether you're a stellar basketball player or just, you know, you're just doing it as a hobby, you know, they're going to look at your grades first. They're going to look at those numbers. So again, your numbers will get you into the door, but it's your personal profile that's actually going to get you read. So you want to make sure that, you know, the numbers, the grades especially, they come first before extracurricular activities. Of course, we have exceptional cases, you know, students with relatively low numbers, low GPA, low SAT, but they have some amazing extracurricular activities. And, you know, again, this definitely can tip the scales. But again, it's important, especially at the tier 1 schools, to have, you know, great everything, great grades and great extracurricular activities. Okay. So these are just a few types or categories of EAs. I don't know if you can read all of this, but you know, you have internships, signature projects. I put this at the top because I think that a lot of students, they don't realize, again, that it's important to have sort of a step-ladder approach to extracurricular activities. You know, if you're starting to do hospital shadowing in 9th grade, then, you know, it's important to take it up a notch. Get to know, you know, the doctors, get to know the nurses, you know, talk to them about their research. Maybe you're, you know, working at a hospital associated with a university. So it's important to, you know, have other things that you're doing as you progress in high school, and, you know, end up with a really amazing signature project. I'll talk about signature projects a little bit later, but it's really just something that's self-organized. It's something that not a lot of students are doing and can really get you to those top schools. Of course, we have leadership. There are a lot of schools looking for students who not just are in clubs, but are actually vice presidents or presidents or founders of clubs. Educational preparation, what this means are like summer programs that are very academic driven, like Cosmos or, you know, YSP, those kinds of things. Work, okay, so when I was in high school, my parents actually didn't let me work. They didn't let me have a part-time job, but I begged them